That smell hits you the moment you pull the door down. Not a strong smell. Not something that makes you step back. Just a low, dull, stale smell, like something wet that never fully dried, drifting up out of a machine you loaded with soap an hour ago. You ran a full cycle. You used the same tablet you always use. And yet the inside of that dishwasher smells like a mop that has been wrung out one too many times and left in a corner. You check the dishes. They look clean enough. So you close the door and you let it go. And you let it go again next week, and the week after that, until one day you pull a glass out and hold it up to the light, and there is a film on it. Chalky gray, faintly greasy, that the hot water and the soap and the whole 40-minute cycle did not touch. That is when most people buy a cleaning tablet. A foil-wrapped tab dropped in the bottom of an empty machine, a full hot cycle, $9 or $10, and for a little while things smell better. Then 3 weeks on, the smell is back. The film on the glasses returns. So you buy another tablet and another. Year after year, the same cycle, the same result, the same $9 spent on the same short fix. What nobody told you, what nobody is making money off telling you, is that the machine has pieces that need to come out and be cleaned by hand. A filter, a set of spray arms, a rubber seal around the door that traps grease and moisture and grows things in the dark. That tablet dissolved some of what had already built up. It did not touch the source, and the source is still sitting there right now, doing what it has been doing for however many years. You have owned that machine. There is a way to fix this that costs around $5. Not $5 every month. $5 once for materials you will use over and over again. What you will find when you do it the right way, the first time you actually do it, is that you have probably never cleaned your dishwasher at all. You only thought you had. That part is going to bother you a little. It should. It bothered me. My name is Annie Hemingway, and I have been keeping a kitchen in working order for the better part of 6 decades. I grew up on a homestead in the Blue Ridge Mountain Country, Appalachian Hill Country, the kind of place where a machine that stopped working right got fixed before supper, or it stayed broken because there was no one to call and no money to call them with. My mother kept our kitchen the way she kept every other room in that farmhouse. She knew every surface, every corner, every piece of equipment that needed attention, and she attended to it on a schedule that ran as regular as the seasons. Nothing in that kitchen was left to clean itself. Nothing. Because she understood something that a lot of modern homes have quietly forgotten, that the thing doing the cleaning is itself something that needs to be cleaned. Always has been. Always will be. When dishwashers became common and I eventually owned one of my own, I applied the same thinking. And I have never once paid a repairman to come out for a problem that regular hands-on maintenance would have prevented. That kind of knowledge is exactly what I want to keep passing down because it saves you real money and real grief. If that sounds useful to you, go ahead and subscribe. Every week brings another piece of the old practical wisdom. Home care, kitchen care, the small habits that keep a household running without bleeding you dry. And drop a line in the comments before you go anywhere. Tell me where you are watching from and tell me, has your dishwasher ever started leaving that film on your glasses or that smell behind the door? I read every comment that comes in. Always have. One more thing before the teaching starts. Some folks prefer to listen while their hands are already busy around the kitchen, doing the dishes, wiping the counters, putting things away. If that is you, I am on Spotify now. Scan the code on the screen or use the link down below, and I will be right there with you while you work. All right, the reason the tablet doesn't fix it, and the reason the smell keeps coming back no matter how much soap you use, comes down to one thing that the dishwasher manufacturers do not put in large print anywhere in the manual. A dishwasher is not self-cleaning. People assume it must be because it runs hot water and detergent through itself for 40 minutes. That sounds like cleaning, and it does clean your dishes, or it tries to, but the machine itself is accumulating everything that washes off those dishes. Grease, food particles, mineral deposits from the water, soap residue that does not fully rinse away. And unlike the dishes which come out and go into the cabinet, all of that material stays inside the machine. It settles, it builds up, it goes into the filter, it presses into the spray armholes, it works its way into every fold of the rubber door seal, and it sits there in the dark and the warmth, and it begins to do what organic matter always does when it is left warm and damp and undisturbed. The spray arms, The plastic pieces that spin and push water out through small holes during a cycle are often half blocked with hardened mineral deposits and food debris after a year or two of regular use. When those holes are blocked, the water pressure drops. The machine is still running its cycle, still using your electricity and your water and your detergent, but the spray pattern is compromised. Dishes in the back corners come out with residue on them. Glasses cloud up. You add more detergent thinking that is the problem. It is not the problem. The filter, which sits at the bottom of the machine and catches solid debris before it can recirculate, is the piece people most often do not know exists at all. It is removable. It screws out or lifts free depending on the model. And in a machine that has never had the filter pulled and cleaned, what is sitting in that filter right now is something between a grease trap and a compost heap. Every foul smell coming out of that dishwasher is rooted there. The door gasket, the thick rubber seal that runs around the entire inside edge of the door and keeps the water in during a cycle, folds and creases against itself every time the door closes. Moisture collects in those folds. Grease from the spray mist clings there. And because it is rubber and it stays damp and nobody thinks to wipe it, mold moves in. Not the kind of mold that calls for a remediation crew, but living mold sitting at the mouth of the machine that cleans your family's dishes. This is not a design flaw. It is a maintenance requirement that got quietly dropped from the conversation sometime around the same period that cleaning tablets started appearing on the grocery shelf. You understand the problem now. The solution is straightforward and the materials are already in your home or cost almost nothing to get. Pull everything out of that dishwasher, both racks, all the way out if they slide free, or at least pushed back so the bottom of the machine is open and clear. You want to see what you are working with before you touch anything. Look down at the floor of the tub. In the center or just toward the back, depending on your machine, you will find the filter. It usually looks like a short cylindrical piece set into a flat mesh screen. Two parts that work together. The cylinder unscrews counterclockwise, lifts free, and then the flat mesh screen beneath it lifts out as well. Some machines have a single combined unit that just lifts straight up. If you have not done this before and you are not certain which piece moves, check the inside of the door. Many manufacturers print a small diagram there, or you can find your model number on the door frame and look up the filter diagram in under 2 minutes. Take the filter to the kitchen sink. Run warm water over it and watch what comes off. If the machine has not been cleaned in a year or more, what loosens first is a brownish-gray slick. Dissolved grease and old detergent residue that has been sitting wet and warm since the last time someone ran a load. Rinse it until the water running through it runs clear. Then take a soft bristled brush. An old toothbrush does this job perfectly, and work it gently across the mesh in small circular strokes. You are not scrubbing hard. The mesh is fine, and you do not want to distort it. You are loosening the material pressed into the grid that the water pressure alone cannot dislodge. Fill the sink with warm water and add a small splash of white vinegar. Roughly a quarter cup into a basin of water is enough. Set the filter pieces in and let them soak for 10 minutes while you move to the spray arms. The vinegar will work on any mineral scaling on the mesh while your hands are free. The spray arms are the flat or cross-shaped plastic pieces that spin during a cycle and push water through small holes out across the dishes. Most dishwashers have two. One mounted low near the bottom of the tub, one mounted higher under the upper rack. Both come off. The lower arm usually lifts straight up off a central post or unscrews with a single turn. The upper arm typically unscrews from a fitting on the underside of the upper rack or from a mount near the back wall of the tub. Twist gently, pull, and it comes free. Hold each arm up to a window or a lamp and look through the holes. What you are looking for are holes that are partially blocked, where you can see a dark plug of compressed debris or a chalky mineral deposit narrowing the opening. Even a hole that looks mostly clear may have buildup around its inner edge that is reducing the spray angle. Take a toothpick, work it into each hole gently, turning it slightly as it goes, and the debris will push through or crumble loose. A thin wooden skewer works just as well. What you are not going to do is use anything metal. No pins, no needles. Metal scratches the plastic and can push debris deeper rather than loosening it. The toothpick is the right tool because it is slightly compressible. It does not damage the plastic, and it gives you enough feel to know when the hole is clear. Rinse both arms under warm running water, holding each one so the water flows through the holes from the inside out. Shake them gently. Watch the water come through every hole in a clean stream and set them aside. Go back to the filter now. Lift the pieces out of the vinegar soak. Give them a final rinse under running water and run the brush over the mesh one more time. They should look visibly cleaner than when you pulled them. The mesh open and clear rather than filmed over. Set them aside to drip while you deal with the door seal. The rubber gasket running around the inside edge of the door is the part of this job that surprises people most when they see it up close for the first time. Run your finger into the fold where the rubber meets the door frame, and it comes back with a dark, greasy residue, sometimes with a faint greenish or black tinge in the deepest creases where moisture has sat the longest. This is not unusual. It is what happens when warm mist from 40 cycles a month hits a folded rubber surface and is never wiped away. Dampen a cotton cloth, not a paper towel, which shreds and leaves fibers, with a solution of equal parts white vinegar and warm water. Work the cloth into every fold of the gasket, section by section, moving around the full perimeter of the door. Press the cloth into the crease and draw it along, turning to a clean section of cloth as it picks up residue. Go around at least twice. The second pass should come back nearly clean. Pay particular attention to the bottom corners of the door frame where the gasket meets the tub floor. Grease and debris collect there more than anywhere else on the seal. The interior walls of the tub come next. Run your hand along the inside surface, the side walls, the back wall, the underside of the door. What you are feeling for is a faint tackiness or a slick film that does not belong there. On a machine that has only ever been cleaned with a tablet, this film is almost always present. It is a combination of grease that aerosolized during hot cycles and redeposited on the interior surfaces, and soap residue that built up in layers and was never fully rinsed free. Take a tablespoon of baking soda and work it into a loose paste with just enough warm water to make it spreadable. Roughly 2 tablespoons of water to 1 of baking soda. Apply it to the interior walls with a damp cloth using light circular strokes. You do not need pressure. The mild abrasive quality of the baking soda does the work. Cover the side walls, the back, and the inside face of the door. Then leave the paste in place for 5 minutes. Wipe it away with a clean, damp cloth. The film will come with it. Rinse the cloth and wipe the surfaces again until they feel smooth and clean rather than tacky. The last thing before you put the machine back together is the drain area at the bottom of the tub. With the filter removed, you can see down into the drain opening. Shine a light in there. What you may find, what is often there in a machine that has not been manually cleaned, is a small accumulation of debris that the filter did not fully catch. A fragment of bone, a piece of broken glass rim no bigger than a fingernail, a clump of food matter that hardened in the drain lip. Reach in with a gloved hand or a cloth-wrapped finger and clear anything you can feel or see. Be careful of glass fragments. Work slowly, feel before you grab, and clear the area thoroughly. Now put it back together. The flat mesh filter screen goes in first, seated flat against the tub floor. The cylindrical filter piece sets into it and turns clockwise until it seats firmly, not cranked down tight, just snug. The spray arms go back on their posts and fittings, turned until they lock. Give each one a spin with your finger to confirm it rotates freely. If a spray arm feels stiff or catches, it is not seated properly. Lift it and reseat it before closing the machine up. Load nothing. Close the door, set the machine to its hottest cycle, and pour 1 cup of plain white vinegar into a small bowl set upright on the bottom rack. Run the full cycle empty. The hot water will carry the vinegar through the system, through the spray arms you just cleared, across the interior walls you just cleaned, and down through the drain. What comes out at the end of that cycle is what was left behind after your hands had already done most of the work. That single empty cycle cost you nothing beyond the electricity the machine was going to use anyway. The vinegar costs under $3 at any grocery store. The baking soda is under $2 and 1 box lasts for months. The toothbrush and the cotton cloths you already have, $5, maybe less. And your dishwasher will run better after this afternoon than it has run in years. Before you close this out and call it done, I want to be straight with you about what this method is and what it is not. Not because I want to manage your expectations the way a disclaimer does, but because I would rather tell you the truth now than have you find out the hard way later when the situation has gotten more expensive. What you did today is maintenance, deep, proper, overdue maintenance, and maintenance done on a regular schedule from here forward will prevent the vast majority of dishwasher problems that send people reaching for the phone to call a repairman, the filter clog that burns out a pump motor, the blocked spray arm that leaves a heating element working harder than it should, the gasket mold that works its way into the door liner over years of neglect. All of that is prevented by what you just did and by keeping it up going forward. But there are things this method cannot fix, and you deserve to know them plainly. If your machine has years of heavy mineral scaling on the heating element, the curved metal rod at the bottom of the tub that heats the water, that scaling does not come off with vinegar and a cloth. It has calcified. It is reducing your machine's ability to heat water to the right temperature, which means your dishes are not being sanitized the way they should be, and your machine is using more electricity than it needs to in order to compensate. Vinegar soaking helps with early-stage mineral deposits on surfaces you can reach. It will not reverse years of hardened scale on the heating element. For that, a commercial descaling product designed specifically for dishwashers, available at any hardware store for around $8 to $12, is the appropriate tool, used once or twice a year if you live in an area with hard water. If your spray arms crack or warp, which happens on older machines, no amount of cleaning restores them. They need to be replaced. They need to be replaced. Spray arm replacements for most common dishwasher models run between $8 and $20 and are sold online and at appliance parts stores. It is a 10-minute swap and well worth doing if the plastic has gone brittle or the arm wobbles on its fitting after you reseat it. If the machine is not draining fully at the end of a cycle, if there is standing water pooling in the bottom of the tub when you open the door, that is a drain pump issue or a kinked drain hose, and neither one is solved by cleaning. Check the drain hose first, which runs from the machine to the under-sink drain and can develop a kink behind the cabinet. If the hose is clear and water is still standing, the pump likely needs a service call. And if the machine is genuinely old, 15 years or more, and has never been serviced, the most honest thing I can tell you is that the cleaning you did today will improve how it runs, but it may also reveal problems that were masked by the buildup. That is not a reason to skip the cleaning. A machine that seemed to be working adequately while it was coated in years of grease and scale sometimes runs differently and sometimes shows its true condition once things are clean. Be straight with yourself about what you are working with. Cleaning is not the same as repairing. It prevents the need for repair most of the time if it starts early enough. If it starts late, it clarifies the situation. Both of those outcomes are useful. The habit that makes all of this permanent is simpler than the cleaning itself. Pull the filter once a month. It takes only 4 minutes. You unscrew it, you rinse it under warm water, you run the soft brush over it twice, you set it back in and twist it snug. That is the whole task. A filter that gets rinsed monthly never develops the greasy accumulation that takes 20 minutes to scrub out. The problem you spent time solving today does not come back if you spend 4 minutes on it every month going forward. Once a month, run an empty hot cycle with a cup of white vinegar in a bowl on the bottom rack. No dishes, no detergent, just the machine and the vinegar and the hottest setting it has. This keeps mineral deposits from building up on the interior surfaces and the spray arms between manual cleanings, and it keeps odor from establishing itself in the drain area and the filter housing. It costs under 50 cents a month and takes 30 seconds of your time to set up. Twice a year, spring and fall, the way the mountain women scheduled every deep cleaning task in the house, do the full cleaning you did today. Filter, spray arms, door gasket, interior walls, drain area, empty vinegar cycle. Write it on the calendar if you need to. Make it the same weekend you change the batteries in the smoke detectors and you will never forget it. Wipe the door gasket with a dry cloth once a week right after you unload a clean cycle. That is exactly 30 seconds. The gasket stays damp between uses, and the weekly wipe removes the moisture before it has time to work into the rubber folds and begin the mold cycle again. This one small habit, more than any other, is what keeps the door seal clean between the biannual deep cleans. That is the whole system. 4 tasks, 2 of them taking under a minute, 1 taking 4 minutes, 1 twice a year. No products from the cleaning aisle. Currently, there are no subscriptions active on this account. No repairman on a Tuesday afternoon taking $250 for a service call to clear a filter that should have been rinsed in April. The women I grew up around managed entire households on schedules like this. A little attention at the right time, applied consistently, preventing the large, expensive failure that comes from neglect. They did not wait for something to break before they touched it. They tended it with care. There is a difference between those two approaches, and that difference adds up to real money over the years. Here is what I want you to sit with for a moment, because it is the part of this that goes beyond the machine. The commercial dishwasher cleaning tablet was not invented because filter cleaning is complicated or because the spray armholes are too small for a toothpick. It was invented and marketed and placed on the grocery shelf because it is a consumable. You buy it, you use it, you buy it again. There is a predictable revenue stream in a problem that keeps returning, and the tablet is designed to address the symptom, the smell, the visible buildup, the film on the glasses, without addressing the source. The source is the uncleaned filter, the blocked spray arm, the neglected gasket. The tablet cannot reach those things. It was never truly designed to. The appliance repair industry has its own relationship with this situation. A pump motor that burns out because a clogged filter made it work too hard for too long is a service call, a parts order, and an invoice. A spray arm that warped because the water pressure was off for 2 years from blocked holes is another invoice. None of this is a conspiracy. It is simply the way the economics work when the maintenance knowledge stops being passed from one generation to the next, and the gap gets filled by products and services. The people who taught me to keep a home were not trying to outsmart anyone. They did not know the word for what they were doing. They just understood that every piece of equipment in a household had a maintenance requirement, that ignoring it cost more than attending to it, and that attending to it was a form of care for the home, for the family inside it, for the resources that were never plentiful and therefore never wasted. There is no profit in the old approach. No tablet to sell, no service call to schedule, no subscription to sign up for. A soft brush, white vinegar, baking soda, and 4 minutes once a month. That is the whole of it. The dishwasher companies are not hiding this from you. It is in the manual, in small print, in the maintenance section that almost no one reads. But it stopped being something that got taught, mother to daughter, neighbor to neighbor, the way useful knowledge used to travel. And in the space where that teaching stopped, a product appeared. You have the knowledge now. That is definitely worth something. My grandmother never owned a dishwasher, not once in her life. What she had was a deep iron-sided sink fed by a hand pump, a wooden drying rack worn smooth from decades of wet dishes, and a discipline around that sink that I did not fully understand until I was grown and keeping my own kitchen. Every evening after the supper dishes were washed and dried and put away, she cleaned the sink itself. Not just a quick rinse. She wiped the basin, she dried the corners where the iron met the wood of the counter, she ran a cloth around the pump handle and the base of the faucet fitting where water collected and sat. She dried the drying rack and set it at an angle so air could move through it overnight. And then she dried her hands on her apron, looked the whole setup over once, and walked away from it satisfied. I asked her about it when I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. Why she bothered cleaning the thing that did the cleaning when it was already wet and soapy from the dishes. She looked at me the way she looked at questions she considered worth answering properly, which meant she did not answer right away. She dried a cup, set it on the shelf, and then she said, "The dirt does not disappear just because it came off something clean." That sentence has followed me for 60-some years. I have thought about it standing in front of that first dishwasher I ever owned, watching the steam come off a load of dishes that smelled faintly wrong. I thought about it when I pulled the filter for the first time and understood immediately what had been sitting in there, accumulating quietly, while I assumed the machine was taking care of itself. The dirt does not disappear just because it came off something clean. It always goes somewhere else. And if you do not know where it goes and you do not go after it, it sits there and it becomes the problem you eventually have to pay someone to fix. She kept that sink running clean and true for 40 years. The iron never rusted through. The pump never seized or stopped. The wood never rotted or decayed. Not because she had good equipment. The equipment was old and hard used and nothing special. But because she attended to it consistently, the way she attended to every other working part of that farmhouse. The principle was the same for the smokehouse, the root cellar, the back porch drain, the garden tools hanging in the shed. A thing that is used must be tended. A thing that is tended lasts longer. What she understood by instinct and necessity, the modern kitchen has to learn back on purpose. That is a strange thing to say, but I believe it is true. The knowledge did not become wrong. It just stopped traveling between people. So let me leave you with exactly what you need to walk away from this and do it right. Go to the grocery store and pick up a bottle of plain white vinegar. The large jug runs under $3, and a box of baking soda, which is under $2 and will last you for months of this work. If you do not already have a soft bristled brush, an old toothbrush pulled from the bathroom drawer does the job perfectly. A few cotton cloths, the kind used for cleaning, not paper towels, round out everything you need. Your total outlay is somewhere around $5, and every item gets used again and again. Pull that dishwasher filter first. It is at the bottom of the tub, and it unscrews or lifts free depending on your model. Take it to the sink, rinse it under warm water, work the soft brush across the mesh in small circles, and set it in a shallow basin of warm water with a splash of vinegar while you move to the spray arms. The spray arms lift or unscrew off their fittings, one low in the tub, one under the upper rack. Take a toothpick and clear each hole along both arms, working gently, turning the toothpick slightly as you go. Rinse them under warm water until every hole runs clear, then set them aside. Come back to the filter, give it a final rinse and a last pass with the brush, and set it to drip. Take a cotton cloth dampened with equal parts white vinegar and warm water and work it into every fold of the rubber door gasket, going all the way around the perimeter of the door and paying close attention to the bottom corners. 2 full passes, turning to a clean section of cloth as it picks up residue. Mix a tablespoon of baking soda with just enough warm water to make a spreadable paste and apply it to the interior walls with a damp cloth. Side walls, back wall, inside of the door. Leave it for 5 minutes, then wipe clean. Clear any debris from the drain area at the bottom of the tub by hand, working carefully if there is any chance of glass fragments. Put the filter back in. Flat mesh screen first, cylindrical piece on top, turn clockwise until snug. Reseat the spray arms on their fittings and give each one a spin to confirm it turns freely. Close the machine, set it to the hottest cycle it has, put a cup of white vinegar in a small bowl on the bottom rack, and run it empty. That is the full cleaning completed. And going forward, 4 minutes once a month on the filter, an empty vinegar cycle once a month, a 30-second wipe of the door gasket once a week after you unload, and the full cleaning twice a year. That schedule costs you nothing but a little attention at the right time. Drop an answer in the comments before you go. I want to know, when did you last clean your dishwasher filter, and did you even know it was there before today? You would not be the first person to tell me they have owned the machine for 5 years and never touched it. I genuinely read what comes in, and your answer helps me understand what to cover next. What I will tell you is this: the washing machine in your laundry room has the same problem, the same principle, the same neglect, the same buildup sitting in places nobody looks, and the same cheap fix waiting for you when you know where to look. That is worth knowing, and it is worth doing right. If this kind of practical home knowledge is useful to you, subscribing means you will not miss what comes next. The old methods work, and there is a lot more of them to pass along. Keep a clean kitchen and tend the things that tend your home. That is a lesson that does not go out of style, no matter how many products they put on the shelf to make you forget it.